My sons, the day a man realizes that he was not born only to exist but to govern, that is the day the Father-King begins to awaken inside of him. The Father-King is not a tyrant, he is a custodian. His crown is invisible but heavy. It rests upon his character, not his head. His throne is not made of gold, but of responsibility. When he walks into a room, the air changes, not because he demands it, but because his spirit has learned to carry peace like a garment. He knows that his home is sacred ground. He is the gatekeeper, deciding what enters and what must remain outside. His words are the locks, his actions the keys. He allows only what aligns with the purpose of his family. Not every friend is a brother. Not every opportunity is a blessing. The Father-King has learned that clarity is indeed protection. He is clear about what it is that he stands for, and equally clear about how and what he will never tolerate. He understands that distractions come in many forms, perhaps in money that whispers of shortcuts, in women whose beauty perhaps hides unrest, in opportunities that promise speed but they steal peace. So he practices stillness. He watches the river before he crosses it. He listens to the voice within, the quiet knowing that the ancestors left inside his chest. He moves slowly when the world is rushing. He builds deliberately while others chase the noise. A Father-King's power is what we would call measured restraint. He knows that he could shout, but he chooses calm. He could destroy, but he chooses to teach. He could run, but stays steady. His strength is not proven in conflict, but rather in composure. And because of that, his home becomes an ecosystem of balance. His children grow under his calm. His woman blooms under his order. And even the walls of his house seem to breathe differently. The fire burns evenly when he is present. He is radiant because he shines from truth. He doesn't shine from attention. He is driven because his life is an offering, not a performance. Every day he wakes and recommits to this question: what kind of nation will grow from my home? My sons, to be a Father-King is not perfection. This is a lifelong war against laziness, against lust, against pride, and against forgetfulness. Every sunrise, he must rebuild his discipline. Every sunset, he must account for his heart. When you walk this path, your name begins to gather weight. The elders in the spirit realm notice your order and extend protection. You will find that when your home is in peace, your road opens easily. Business flows, allies appear, and your sleep becomes deep. The Father-King builds quietly, guards fiercely, and loves deeply. That is where your true kingship begins. Wisdom, my sons, is the oldest elder in the village. It doesn't shout, it waits for silence, it doesn't rush, and it arrives when a man has become still enough to hear. The Father-King understands that wisdom is not a collection of quotes, it is a way of seeing. He watches how clouds gather before rain and learns that patience precedes abundance. He observes how ants carry crumbs heavier than themselves and learns that leadership is service. Wisdom teaches that life is not always fair, but it will always be faithful. Whatever a man plants, he will harvest, even if it takes years. So the Father-King plants integrity, generosity, and restraint, knowing the crop will return to his lineage. True wisdom demands humility. It is impossible to learn if you believe you already know. The Father-King sits with the elders, those who have buried dreams and resurrected hope, and he listens. He asks about their mistakes, not just their victories. He knows that the wounds of an elder carry more truth than the theories of a proud man. His mind is not a battlefield of ego. It is a garden of discernment. He prunes old thoughts that no longer serve him and weeds out the bitterness. He waters his curiosity. And because he is wise, he does not speak everything he knows. His tongue is disciplined. He measures his words because he understands that words are seeds. Once thrown, they cannot be taken back. The wisdom of the Father-King is also strategic. He knows that love without boundaries becomes chaos, and power without vision becomes tyranny. So he learns to find balance, and balance the gentleness and firmness. He leads like the sun, warm enough to nurture, strong enough to burn away deceit. When storms come, though, he remembers that wisdom is not panic. It is perspective. The fool sees a problem. The Father-King sees an opportunity to grow. He uses crisis as a classroom. Every setback becomes a test of faith, patience, and even foresight. Wisdom also teaches him that his family's healing begins with his own. He must face his childhood shadows, reconcile with his father's absence or his mother's pain, so that he does not bleed on those that he was sent to protect. The wise man cleans his inner house before correcting others. He consults with his ancestors, not just in superstition as it were, but in remembrance. He asks for their guidance when decisions are heavy, for they have walked this path before. He understands that to be wise is to be connected to spirit, to earth, and to people. And finally, wisdom gives him peace, not peace of idleness, but the peace of knowing that he is aligned. His nights are calm. His thoughts no longer fight with each other. His eyes see clearly what matters. My sons, the Father-King who walks with wisdom does not chase followers. People follow his order. His life becomes the lesson. His silence becomes the counsel. His example is the sermon. And that is the fruit of wisdom, when your being speaks louder than your mouth. My sons, many men chase wealth the way thirsty children chase a mirage, only to find dust in their hands. The Father-King does not chase wealth. He attracts it by walking in alignment. Wealth is a river. It doesn't belong to anyone. It flows through those whose hearts are clear. When your purpose is known and your hands are disciplined, the river will always pass through your land. But if you build dams of greed and ego, the water turns stagnant, and the stench will drive peace away. To understand wealth, you must first find and understand purpose. The Creator never gives a man more than he has the structure to hold. Purpose is that structure. It tells the wealth where to live, how to behave, whom to serve. Without purpose, wealth becomes a wild bull destroying your own crop. The Father-King doesn't ask, how much do I have? But rather, what is this meant to build? He sees money as energy, a servant, not a master. He lets it move in the rhythm of life, earning, giving, investing, sharing. He knows that giving keeps the water fresh. When you are aligned, even small coins multiply. You'll see it in your health, in your friendships, in your home. Abundance begins inside before it ever appears outside. The confused mind repels blessing. The clear mind receives it. The wise Father-King builds systems, not moments. He teaches his children about trade, about saving, about generosity. He does not compete with his woman. He partners with her. He involves his family in the story of wealth so that it does not become a secret shrine. He also understands that wealth is not material. Peace is wealth. Sleep is wealth. A united home is wealth. A reputation that opens doors is wealth. When you count your riches, count your peace first. Do not be deceived by speed, my sons. Many who sprint towards riches die out of breath. Move with rhythm and with purpose. Know the season to sow and the season to rest. Don't ever compare your harvest to another man's. Every field receives a different amount of rain. And when the abundance comes, because it will, don't become arrogant. Pour libation to the ancestors. Thank the source. Feed the poor. Build something that will stand when your bones are dust. Wealth is meant to circulate through you, not imprison you. Let it flow like a river. Let it be clear and constant and life-giving. That is how the Father-King remains prosperous without losing his soul. A tree does not eat its own fruit. The Father-King understands this, that everything he builds must feed someone beyond himself. Community is not a burden. It is the echo of your name in the world. The true measure of a man is seen, not in his house, but in the streets, and how it is that they know his kindness. The Father-King looks at people and asks, where is the wound? He does not turn away the drunkard, the hungry child, the woman carrying water that's too heavy for her spine. He knows that leadership is not a title, but rather a response to a need. He gives his time, his counsel, his skills. He mentors the young men who have no fathers. He encourages the women who build quietly in the shadows and loudly in the open. He helps rebuild what the storms of life may have broken. But he also knows that helping is an art. You must listen before you fix. You must understand before you act. The Father-King does not impose. He collaborates. He asks the people what they need and joins their effort, not their dependency. In African thought, the village is one body. When one limb is wounded, the whole body limps. A wise man tends to community because he knows that his own children will one day walk its paths. The safety of his household depends on the wellness of the neighbor's child. Service to community is spiritual maintenance. It balances the energy between giving and receiving. Each act of service, planting trees, sponsoring education, mediating conflict, becomes a seed of blessing in unseen realms. And the Father-King must remember humility. When the people praise him, he deflects the glory to the elders, to the collective, because he knows that when the village succeeds, the king is remembered kindly. When the village suffers, the king's name turns bitter. So my sons, never forget that your title means nothing if your people are hungry. Leadership is not shown by the size of your home, but rather by how many may eat from its fire. The work of the community is tiring, yes, but it is holy. Every generation needs men who will build bridges instead of walls. People who will build wells instead of fences. Let your strength serve and your light let it guide. And when you grow weary, know that the ancestors smile every time you lift another. That is indeed the sacred work of the Father-King, to be a father to all. My son's purpose is the sacred drumbeat of your life. Once you hear it clearly, not everyone is going to dance to it, and that is all right. The Father-King must learn to guard his rhythm. He does not open his gates to every traveler. Some come with blessings and others come with chaos. Wisdom lies in discernment, the ability to recognize who carries peace and who carries disturbance. The standards of your purpose are not arrogance. They are boundaries born of reverence. When a man knows why he is here, he becomes selective about where he spends his time, who he shares his bed with, what business he entertains, and what company he keeps. To live with purpose means living with clarity. The Father-King asks himself daily, does this align with my calling? Does this honor my home? Will this decision echo well in the mouths of my descendants? He learns that no is indeed a sacred word. It protects what yes has built. He refuses to entertain gossip. He refuses to entertain laziness or relationships that drain focus. He does not fear solitude, but rather uses it to sharpen his mind. A man without standards becomes food for other people's agendas, but a man with standards becomes a compass. And those who are lost will find direction in his firmness. But don't mistake boundaries for cruelty. The Father-King still carries compassion. He can forgive without re-inviting. He can bless from a distance. He knows that even separation can be a form of love when peace is at stake. Purpose also demands constant renewal. The seasons change, and so must the expression of your calling. The Father-King prays, reflects, and adjusts. He surrounds himself with truth-tellers, not people who will flatter. He invites correction, but rejects confusion. When he enforces these standards, his home becomes a fortress of calm. His woman feels safe. His children grow confident. His spirit becomes light. The winds of gossip pass over his roof without entry. In time, others will understand that access to him is indeed a privilege, not a right. The world begins to treat him the way he treats himself, with respect, with honor. And when it is that his journey ends, his purpose will have birthed order in those that outlive him. His sons and daughters will remember his boundaries, will remember his safety. The community will remember his wisdom. That is indeed the inheritance of a man who protected the rhythm of his destiny.